Legend of Korra is frustratingly bad. See, I can handle and accept the show with bad writing and good action, but Korra's writing is actually retarded. It prevents its own action. It pretends to be deep, but then never puts in the time to commit to the depth. Like when they decided to make a big stink about Korra's PTSD, and so she confronted Zahir. They had a big sit down that just didn't have a conclusion. She just didn't get over any mental or emotional issue. She just had her fucking tapeworm fused back inside of her. The first book was about the Equalist, and as a deconstruction of the Avatar setting, well, it's a pretty good idea. I mean, not the most original. It's pretty, low-hanging fruit, but it's a good idea. It's, really one of the few ways forward for the setting, to do something new. But it has no build-up and disappears after book 1. And let's be honest, it was just an excuse to do X-Men in the 20s. And that's really, the meat of my beef with Korra. It's a fucking fraud. It's a poser. Take Amon. Amon was set up as a villain who didn't use weapons. He was a non-bender. And previously, all the non-benders, they used weapons to even the playing field. And that was pretty badass. He didn't need weapons. So, we were hyped. He had a cool voice. Steve Blum just goes and does an amazing job. He had a cool mask. And, the Equalists generally looked cool. Korra has a lot of cool looking stuff, but just the application is just done wrong. It's bad. Why does he just have dumb fuck telekinesis? Bloodbending should have been a one-off ability. Like that one time Aang had super speed. Because it makes for a cool episode, but when you just want to continue using that, it doesn't make sense. Bloodbending is it's so fucking stupid. I hate when fake-ass, stupid-ass, silly fans like to say, ooh, but waterbending's the strongest because you have bloodbending. Shut up, you little twerp. It's not. All right, it's pretty balanced. Okay, bloodbending is situational. They made it a full moon fucking Persona 3 event because they knew that it shouldn't be something to use because it would be broken in universe, and it would also be bad because it's an action show and telekinesis isn't something telekinesis just isn't very good when you're based off of martial arts. But like the Korra crew didn't understand why people liked their show, because it sure as shit wasn't the writing and there wasn't the characters, but they kept adding characters and they kept spending time on boring ass stories that no one really cared about. And if I'm going to be honest with you, I think Korra should have been just a simple dumb action show that focused on just having like cool characters, and just that's it. I don't think it needed to be deep. I don't think it needed to be anything like that, because when you try and you fail, you just end up bothering people with a brain. It's impossible to just turn off my brain and watch the show and accept it for what it is, because then I'd have to be skipping fucking 90% of the content just to get to the action scenes. Book 4, the end of the series, we're fighting fascism, which should, mean that there's a lot of enemies to, pick off. Have Kuvira have a bunch of lieutenants that, Korra's fucking loser-ass friends can fight. But no, they decide to waste time on Mako and Bolin destroying the mech, which just wasn't interesting. So the fight between Korra and Kuvira, while good, just lasted 40 seconds. And just and what the worst part is that after Korra and Kuvira fight and the robot explodes, that's it. It's just a bunch of fucking talking, because they think we care. The Red Lotus comes close to being what I want, except they could have used, just a bit of basic characterization, because as it is now, you do not know their names and you couldn't tell me anything about them without describing how they look. I know it sounds like I'm contradicting myself by saying that I just want action, but I also want characterization. I'm saying I don't want deep or, multi-layered characters. I just want to have a clear idea of who they are and what they want, and maybe give them a cool theme song, maybe give them a cool design. I don't know why Zahir is just some bald fucking gray loser, or how in book 4 they decided to put all the airbenders in these ugly fucking wingsuits that just have no character. Actually, let's beat on book 2, that dead fucking horse. Let's pound it into the ground. Book 2 is, called Spirits, and it deals with dark spirits. Now, if you remember Avatar, a good series, you remember that the spirits were usually animals or some sort of monster. And I may be trolling, I may be just lying to you, but typically the good spirits just look like animals because the spirit world is kind of implied to be an extension of nature, which is why they would look like animals. So whenever a spirit would be angry, like Heibai, they would turn into a monster, or Ko the Face Dealer, who was just a giant fucking centipede, which, well, bugs are disgusting and made by the devil. But that's not the point. The point is that the show introduced the possibility to have monsters just invade the world, and you cannot fight them with normal bending. Why? Why would you do that? Why? Well, what was the point? Seriously though, not only did the spirits not end up doing anything, they also just didn't even have the decency to look interesting because they're all just one color with just one like neon highlight. And then all the light spirits just look like off-brand like mascot characters that you see in a manga or something. In the spirit of Netflix Avatar, I feel I should restate my general points. Korra is a bad show because the writing is shallow and also takes up time that could be used for better action scenes. And the action scenes suffer from, well, just bad planning. You shouldn't do robots in Avatar. And also just from the characters not being very interesting. So as a viewer, I'm not very invested.